Who's going to be game enough to jump on the Cody Nikorima bandwagon? 3 to 4 weeks it looks like with Anthony Milford out. Is he the play at that really cheap price for your team? Let's go through these round 6 teamless team. We've got Tohu Harris, looks like he's back. Ruben Cotter also back. These photos tell a lot of the story. On the phone, I had Sean Lane in there as well. And that Parramatta team is going to be a super interesting one to go through, and that is near the end, so please stick around. I appreciate your efforts in watching this video and all these long videos every week. Thank you very much. Let's go to Storm and the Roosters, and in the Storm side, we have Hughes coming back for Pezzett, and that was the worry. If you were trading in Jonah there, is that he would get very limited weeks, and unless there was an injury to Munster or Hughes, Pezzett would be out of that side straight away. So he's done his job. He's got a negative break even now. He's doing great, but unfortunately he's gone now. In terms of the rest of the squad, you still have Joshy King there sitting in a great position, just under 700k doing great things. Trent Leoro and Eli Katoa, I don't think that they're urgent sells this week. I would be looking to potentially hold those two guys for a little while, and hopefully they can continue to go well. We saw what Eli Katoa was doing when Hughes was in the side before his before his suspension there, so I think he can go back to doing some similar work there. Against Egan Butcher's side, it's not their strongest defensive outfit with Luke Keary and Egan Butcher. Egan missing a few tackles there, 3 to 4 a week, and I think Ellie can take a bunch of them, which is going to be good. So the interchange, really, Tarek Sims is the other change there. He comes back after playing some good minutes in Q Cup over the weekend. So moving to the Roosters side, Joey Manu is back, and he's in the number 1 jersey, and that was always expected. It's a pretty funny one, actually. I think they asked Trent Robson in one of the press conferences there, who's going to play fullback next week, and he said Joey will. And obviously both of them are Joseph, so a little funny joke for Mr. Trent there. But Manu is always going to be that guy. He is obviously way better than Suoli'i at the moment, and I actually don't mind Suoli'i there in centres in my side. He'll be able to do a job, and I think he probably will score better in that position than he will in the fullback spot. He's not someone that makes a lot of direct runs there, and I think he gets some good opportunities on an edge rather than having to do a lot of it at fullback himself. So I think Manu's going to be that guy, and over the next few weeks, I think Manu is a good pickup. So if you're looking for a gun outside back, so you've got centre and wing fullback as his dual, you can slot him in the centres. He's a little bit expensive and he has a pretty high break even, so you could wait one more week and then potentially pick him up next week, or Teddy if you want to go down that route as well. But Manu, one of those guys that I seem to pick up around run 5, 6, 7 each and every year over the last few, and he's done a great job, and obviously not playing Origin is very important. Just quickly on the other side with the Storm guys, we've got Warbrick in that back line, and I think he's another clear hold for, until he loses his spot. Sounds like he's got it for a bit. Solid score last week. You can probably play him this week. I think that would be fine if you'd like to. If you don't want to play him, if you want to loop him, that is also fine. The Roosters side, we've got Jackson Parlow there. He's had a cracking bunch of weeks. I just think he's a little bit too expensive now to look at popping in your side for a winger that hasn't done it long term. He's looking great, as I said, at the moment, but is he going to be able to do it for a good period of time and not just sort of 3 to 5 weeks? That's the question with him. Sam Walker, I think, is still a great option, guys. He's underpriced at the moment on how he's scoring, and he's only low scores at the moment. One where he missed a bunch of tackles, which he hasn't done the last 3, and then one where they got beat. So, it's a really close, low-scoring game and didn't really work out for him. So I think Walker's still a great option, but yeah, if you're saving up for Hines, I'm not going to push you away from that. Brandon Smith, just definitely look at him this week, and if he continues to go well, then he's a cheapy sort of mid-range hooker in your squad, which could be cool. But other than that, guys like Egan Butcher, I think you need to sell, maybe downgrade him for a couple of the other cheapy options. We mentioned Cody Nikorima at the start. Potentially one of those guys in and amongst some others that we will speak about in a tick. So that's the first game. It's going to be a pretty fun one to watch, that one. Dogs v Rabbitohs. Very exciting game as well. I think this could be fairly close, considering that Rabbitohs are losing a bunch of games. Bulldogs are building some faith in being able to win games, and that's very exciting for them. Hayes Perham, I think, if you're looking again for that mid-range type of fullback at the moment, then Perham's your guy. He's going to be able to do a solid job, and I spoke about Karaz as being one of those top guns that you potentially want in your side as well. Just gets his base of 40 and runs and tackle breaks and offloads very easily. Matty Burton, I think this could be a tougher game for him. I think Rabbitohs should be able to get the job done. They'll put up more of a better game than Dogs' last few opponents there with the Cowboys. So I think Bunnies are going better, even though their record suggests that they're very similar to the Cowboys outfit. Burton, how it's going to work with this one, I'm sensing a lower scoring game, so potentially less goals and probably a lot of kicking from him. You can pick him up this week, or you can wait one more and just make sure that he runs the ball a lot more. And if he is each and every week at the moment, then he's going to be a great selection for your side as well going forward. Maxi King and Jacob Preston have been named, guys, so that injury listing that Preston had, that will be gone. Sounds like King's been cleared of any further eye damage, which is good, and Preston has had stitches in his split. He split the webbing, guys, so from what I know about that one, they usually strap the couple of fingers together, obviously get the stitches, strap the fingers together for game day, and he played the rest of the game. He did in the first half, and he still managed to play the 80 minutes, so we're not worried about him. Reed Marnie, I still think you give him another crack, guys. He's had a couple of really good games and then 2 average ones. 48 last week wasn't bad, and yes, the 43 in this one, not great, but I think he can definitely bounce back. Hopefully with some less missed tackles, that's for sure. Bench changes for them. They've got Harrison Edwards into 13, but he'll only be there for 1 week with Faitala Mariner coming back. They have TPJ and those guys that are going to be closer as well. Andrew Davies in the 23, so a few of those forwards that will be returning. So I'd be really cautioning you on picking any of this, Harrison Edwards or Jackson Torpenny, who I think is a good addition to this side. On the Bunnies version of the ball, we've got Alex Johnson's out this week with a head knock. Tane Milne plays his first game of the year, so very cool for him. Isaiah Tass, Kimmel Graham, all top options, guys. You should be holding Latrell Mitchell, holding Isaac Thompson at the moment. Cody Walker's a sneaky option. Lockie Ilias, I'm most likely going to be trading him out this week. And as a guy that I was thinking about trading, I might have to hold 1 more week, but we'll get to him in a sec. And then the forwards, Tavita Totola is back, so very exciting news to him. But him coming back removes Michael Cheekham from the interchange list, so not ideal for him. Hame Sele keeps his spot, and I think he can still get 40-ish minutes. I doubt he gets 47 this week, but you'd expect Moale and Saluka Fafita to get the lower minutes, and Hame Sele be that bigger minute guy coming through the middle. Jed Cartwright being used sparingly, potentially for some cover, because they don't have anyone in their forwards or in their in their team there that could cover multiple positions, and Jed's that guy. So I doubt he plays big minutes. Hame Sele, the big bench forward middle, so he can come on. He's fairly cheap, guys, and he's a solid pickup for sure. I wouldn't expect the 40 that he got last week, but maybe somewhere in the low 30s would be pretty safe for him to make sort of 150k and do a good job recycling your mid-range guys for guys like Hame. If you're looking at Cam Murray, I still think he's solid, guys. Obviously, people are looking to trade him out, and then he picks up an 80, and I'd say people will be looking to trade him in. So just keep in mind that they're not going to go 80 every week. He's only done it once this year, so that's that. But they got so many injuries and suspensions. Ockenball's out. Pele broken arm, so if you got him, need to trade him out. But that's that in that one. Cheekham, his time in your sides should be done, guys. He's done a great job. Time to move on from him. Cowboys and Dolphins. Drinkwater is back. Good. We need him back. Bad news is that means Chester's out, but Chester moves to the bench. And I think the reason he is on that bench, Todd Payton said in a press conference after the game, I think it was Monday, yesterday or Sunday there on Sunday night after their game, that he was saying that he was going to find a spot for Chester in his side just because of the effort that he puts in. He's that effort play type of guy. And with their 2 injuries that they have this week, with Lukey out and Jordan McLean out, I think it was easy to leave him on that interchange bench. And if you're looking at forwards in this side, you'd imagine Cotter comes in and probably plays some decent minutes. They've got Mitch Dunn in the starting forward spot, and he did all right last week, but he's still a very awkward price. So I would caution you away from potentially him just a little bit. And then Griffin Neame in the starting 12 jersey. They do have Jeremiah Nanai returning next week, so he will come straight back in for Griffin. He'll move back to the bench, and we probably lose either Riley Price for one, or Chester as a double there when a few of their like McLean and Nanai return. So probably another 1 week go for Chester. He has a negative break even, so he can get on and play 20 or 30 minutes and some type of role there. That would be cool. But it looks like he's probably going to be that utility guy. If there's obviously any injuries there, but I think they'll pop him on there for a little bit of spark in this game against the Dolphins, which I think is going to be a tough one, to be honest with you. The way we're playing at the moment, Dolphins, I think will need a bounce back in this one. And they obviously get a clean set of halves in this one, not an injured set, which is going to be helpful. And they do get Edric Lee back, so he comes for Bostock, which is not nice if you picked up Bostock there. very sorry to see that for anyone that did that. It wasn't his best game, and understandable why they, now that Edric is available, and this is what we kind of spoke about when looking at Bostock, was that he had Edric Lee coming available in the next couple of weeks. So that's that. If you got the hammer, no longer a buy, just a hold at the moment, and he should be able to have a solid game in this one, I'd imagine. Connolly Lemuelu, still upset that he got his turnover tackle taken away. Clear one-on-one tackle, bumped it off, and loses the ball, and no turnover tackle. They take it away. Rude. But yeah, 36 last week. Let's bank on less missed tackles. He had 9. Let's hope that he drops that down, and he is solid in this one. Ray Stone, I see a few people owning him. If you've got him, I think he's just a hold at the moment. He's too cheap to even do anything with when he could potentially come out and do solidly. So that's that. Mason Teague comes in, is off, in the reserves, and Kurt Donahue comes back in for that squad. I think Mark Nichols, if you own him, guys, time to move on from Marky Boy. I think he can spend his money elsewhere for sure. All right, let's move it down the list in this one. And we've got the Panthers up against the Seagulls. So in this one here, we have not many changes for the Panthers side, which is good, which means Zach Hosking keeps his spot. We don't see any sign of Luke Garner. We don't see any sign of Liam Martin, which is great news for us that picked up Hosking. Would you pick him up this week? Look, last week was the week to pick him up. It sounded like from their physio, as I said, that Luke Garner would be 2 to 3 weeks away, and then Martin would be at least another couple of weeks away. So really, they could come back next week and things change up. The play on Hosking was the minimum of 2 weeks, getting at least 100k in price rises and getting some good scores. But there is every chance that he keeps his spot long term. And Sorensen's the first one to go. He'll just move back to the bench in the middle, and then they can keep Hosking potentially and play Garner off the bench. I don't know how they're going to play this one, to be honest with you, because they've got a lot of these players that are playing really well. Eisenhuth comes in and starts this week with Fisher Harris out. I was going to say JWH. Fisher Harris there in that one, which is good. So not Warrior Hargraves, but Sonny Luke is back, which is good. Lindsay Smith, a solid option there. So he's in a bit of an awkward price in the 300s, but I definitely think that he's someone that you could pick up this week. But he does have some issues in terms of Liam Martin returning. We have guys like Garner as well. Sorensen would come down into that spot. And you'd imagine Lindsay Smith comes off that interchange bench. He did great work last week. He worked really hard. And you see there he's in everything, tackling everything, running everything. But good chance he loses his spot after this 1 week. So that's something to think about. Obviously, injuries can come in and you can get lucky. But I think it's probably not worth taking that chance, to be honest with you. And Tyrone Peachy comes into the 18 jersey. So after getting his try, he is out already. So that's that. Ruben Garrick, as I spoke about in that previous video, guys, so check that one out. I go through all the positions, so a big deep dive on that, just like we do in preseason. All of the different spots there, all of the the price that you're paying for them, what they can do on the next 3 basis, and then heading in towards Origin. So I think that's a cracking video to watch. So thank you for all those that already have, and I hope you enjoy it after this one. That would be great. Schuster is back, guys, but not really worthy of a place in our side, that's for sure. KO Weeks had a solid one last week with a try. Carl Lawton is back as well. So if you picked up Lawton, he's got a negative break even, I believe, and he'll be able to do okay for you. So that is that. Ben Trebojevic is out as well, and Christian Tuipulotu. We see Jason Saab back. That was the other one, actually, I need to say. But again, not relevant at this stage. Let's go Broncos and Raiders. And I still think the Broncos players are great options. The Reece Walshes, the Hasses of the world. Katoni Staggs, I think is a sell now. There's so many other better options that are getting their hands on the ball a lot more. He seems to just be falling on tries or getting lucky at the end of games, and that's going to continue to wear out, I think. He might have one more massive game in him. It could be this week. We don't know. But they had a pretty easy one last week, and he still had a poor score. So that's that. Carrigan, a lot of people looking at trading him out. I'd say this is a little bit of a closer game. The Raiders will bounce back. They play a lot through the middle, so Carrigan should get a lot of tackles in this game. Just putting it out there. If you do trade him, I understand, but I think that he's going to get a 40-plus tackling game here and get some big minutes, especially if this is closer. If it is a blowout, it's a blowout, and Carrigan, he could still score a try. Like there's, last week was just a bit of a nothing week, and the minutes were pretty low. With both those guys, Haas and Carrigan, resting, if it is a closer game, I'd expect they play big minutes here, 60 or so for Haas, and I'd say 70 for Carrigan. So keep that in mind when you're looking to move on from Carrigan, for example. On the Raiders side, Schneider is back in the 6. Very interesting. Jared Croker makes his debut. So for those who have Harley Smith Shields, we're talking about him as a sell anyway. So he's now out. He's in the reserves. Jared Croker comes in and gets his chance to get closer to playing his 300th, I believe. So I think he's a couple of games away. So very cool for Croaks, and they do need a bit of a change-up after last week for sure. So that's that there. Wolford's still playing in the 9. They've got Horsburgh in the 13, and we've got Corey Harawira-Naira, who gets moved back to the bench, and hopefully for Joe Tapp owners that he comes out and he gets some bigger minutes this week. Surely he gets some 55, because crazy that he's the only gun middle forward in the game that doesn't play over 50 minutes regularly. It's ridiculous. So that's that there, and I know that people that own him are pretty annoyed with that. Frawley has a broken hand, which is not ideal. All right, so we move on to Titans v Dragons, and we haven't seen the Titans in a week, so good to see them back. And Jaden Campbell, strongly consider him this week. We'll cover him in Scoop and Eyes, Buy, Hold, Sell, Risk It. And then we've got Cam Pereira, who's at negative break even, and he's a sneaky one this week. If you are needing a wing fullback, I think it'll be a closer game, and he could come out and dominate again. He could come out and get a 15 or 20, so keep that in mind with Cam Pereira. If you're owning Tanner Boyd, I still think it's okay to play him, but Toby Sexton in there means that he will get some kicking, something the Foreign wasn't doing too much of, and I think that they'll share the kicking load. But this game against the Dragons, I think, is a clear one to hold Tanner and play him, and then you can make decisions from there. He got over 40 and over 50 the last two. I think that's completely fine. If you held on to David Fafita, great news for him, for you, that he should be able to come out and do pretty well in this game. Great news for us with Ben Murdoch-Masila. Came out with a money-making performance last week at 35. Very excited for him. Jack Bird's still a great option at 13 in your centres, guys. Tyrell Sloan, just like Perham, another one of those mid-priced wing fullbacks now. I can't believe he's mid-priced at over 400k, but he's a solid one going forward. Still, I think Blake Laurie, people have been asking me about, and he's someone that has come out and absolutely dominated that first couple of games with a few tries. And I don't think he'll do that weekly, but he could definitely go for on a little run. But I think that'll stop soon, and he's getting very pricey. So that's that. Let's move to the Knights and the Warriors. We've got a few games to go here. And in this one, obviously, Lockie Miller, pretty close to a must-have if you don't have him. I think most do, especially in that top 5 to 10,000 there. Greg Marzu, a solid option, as we spoke about. Crossland is out this week. Crossland is in this week for Gamble, who looks like it'll just be a short-termer. And then Jaden Brayley, still a great option, guys. Leo Thompson keeps getting named in that starting jersey, especially while Jacob Saifidi is out, and he's been doing well. I don't know if I can push you to trade him in this week, but he's doing great. Same with Matty Croker in that position, and Jack Johns stays in the 13. I think you can avoid Jackie Johns. There's a good chance that Kurt Mann comes back into that starting side, but I really think that Jack deserved that spot, and good on him. On the Warriors side of the ball, we see Tamati Martin come back into 6, which is good for those that held on to him. Chan's still doing well. I wouldn't be buying him, but a good hold. Johnson, definitely a solid buy. And the next couple of weeks aren't too bad for them as well, which is good news. Wade Egan holding on to him. Jackson Ford's still a buy this week. And with Murata Niokore out, there's definitely no worries on his spot at the moment. He's out for 1 week. Bailey Sirenen comes in and starts with Tohu Harris back in the 13 role. And if you hold on, I think you can lock him in as a hold for the year now. If you held this far, good news. I think you hold again, and he'll continue to go back to doing well and play big minutes. And this interchange bench, you'd expect big minutes from Jazz and decent minutes from Walker, and then Ale and Curran, probably the low minute guys in that one. So expect Tohu probably over 70, but we'll see what happens with his knee. It might be a couple of lower weeks. Still going to score well enough, but lower than where he was at the start of the season. And now last one, we have our Monday night game. A lot of those who remember the last few years, that sometimes I'll forget that there is a Monday game and I'll just completely skip it, but not this time. We did it. Tigers v Eels on Easter Monday. So it is Easter weekend for this one. And the Tigers, what about this one? I can't even believe what's going on here, because they moved Staines to fullback and got rid of Laurie. Whatever, that's fine. Don't rate it, but fine. And then during game, they moved Staines from fullback to wing and moved Dewey back to fullback. And they literally have lasted 2.5 weeks, and now they're back to what they were before with Staines at fullback. So I don't know what's changed in that time, apart from them going, oh, we need to make a change. But they did that, and then it didn't obviously work. Well, they didn't think it worked. I'm quite happy with Dewey at 6. He's a much better player, much better fantasy scorer at 6, I think, than he's a fullback, for sure. Like, you can tell that he's trying to organise the defence, organise their attack coming out of their line when he's a fullback. And that's what the halves job is. And why the hell they moved him out of half, I don't know. But if you've held on to him this far, happy days, because he should go back to scoring pretty decent. And against this Eels side, hopefully they can put up a bit of a fight, that's for sure. Johnny Bateman is named again. Isaiah Papali, I spoke about him. He'll be a buy at some point. I'm not sure if it's now. Shawnee Bloor, a bit of an awkward price. They have Joe Offengawe back on the interchange bench, which is great news. He should have been there the whole time. went back to New South Wales Cup and played massive minutes and ran for a ridiculous amount of meters. So that was that with him. Shawnee Bloor, definitely an okay option. I'm a little bit worried, and just an awkward price. It feels like 260, 270. You'd be all over him, but a super low break even means you'll get some good price rises, even off the bench in a 30 to 40 minute role. But, if you could play 50 minutes like you did on the weekend, even better. And our last one there, the Eels, we've got our good buys like Will Penasini in there as always. Sean Russell and Hayes Dunster are back this week. So we see Simonson is out in this one, and then Wanga Blake as well. So that's those two. Dylan Brown and Moses. I still think Moses is a great purchase in the next few weeks. People looking to sell him, I think, is a mistake in that one. Widdermore Greg is in the prop spot again, and he was solid last week. I don't know if you can pick him up just with the way things are set up. Junior's going to be out one more week and he'll be back. So, Greg will be back to the bench or out of this side. Sean Lane returns. And what the interesting thing out of all this is Madison moves to 13. Hopgood goes to the bench and Bryce Cartwright keeps his spot in the back row. Who would have thought that, hey? That Bryce Cartwright would be keeping his spot in round 6 when Sean Lane comes back. So, means we can hold Bryce Cartwright for one more week, I'd say, and then make a decision on him there. Look, there's a chance that they change up this side come the end of the week, but I really think that this is their best play. Madison is a 13, as we've been saying. That's his spot. Cartwright's been actually pretty solid. He hasn't been missing a lot of tackles. He had a bit of a shocker last week in terms of fantasy scoring, but he still wasn't that bad on the park, and he gives them a little bit of spice on that right edge. We lose Matt Dury, so he's a clear sell now, guys, if he wasn't last week for you. Interchange, you got Makatoa, Murchie, Hands, and also Hopgood. So in this section here, you'd see Hopgood probably play as more of like a prop with Greg there. So he'll play lower minutes, 25, 30, 35 there. Hopgood will probably cover the rest of those minutes of 50 to 55. So he's still a clear play, guys. Don't see there any reason why they wouldn't be playing him still 50 plus minutes. Maybe, Madison starts at 13, moves to the edge at some point, and like Cartwright or Lane comes off. We'll see what happens there. But I really think Hopgood will be that 50-odd minute guy through the middle. They got Hands to just switch with Hodgson's minutes. Makatoa probably plays low minutes there, and then Murchie probably 30 to 40. So that is all of the team list for this week. I wish you all best of luck. Video is going to come out probably in the early Arvo tomorrow with Scoop. And I'll get out my Supercoach one tomorrow as well. But yeah, if you've got any questions, guys, send them in the comments. I'll try and reply to a lot of them. And then, yeah, we'll get around to that. Hope you have a good one, guys. See you later.